Can you beat Minecraft without eating food? The answer is technically yes, but in practice, it's of course a lot harder. Just a casual little... Oh, never walk in the same direction for too long. Even the fastest of speedruns that beat the game in less than 15 minutes will eat a surprising amount, and so the answer to this big question is something I wanted to show you with my most successful run to date. Say out loud, oh, you... No! This genuinely came down to half a heart, and I think it's an absolute blast of a run to watch, so let's do precisely that right after we mention that the question of beating the game without eating is really a question of can you beat the game without hunger, because on hard difficulty you can die of starvation, therefore it's just about making our initial hunger bar last for an entire run. When you look at the list of things that drain your hunger, you realize how tricky that can be, but it basically comes down to we're not going to be jumping, and we're going to be trying as hard as we can not to take damage. Although if you really think about it, we probably should have been doing that anyway. So yeah, this table tells us that it's better to break a block than it is to jump a block. Jumps are absolutely disastrous, and so we're going to be walking around with no jumps. However, if we want real speed, we won't sprint. Instead, we'll be using boats or horses. Horses can run faster, jump higher, and take more damage than the player, and don't waste a single hunger while doing so, but they're useless without a saddle. That means that besides surviving without taking damage, my first big objective is to find one of these structures which a saddle is found inside of. A desert temple is of course the preference because it has 4 chests and honestly it's very easy to deal with, but I'm perfectly happy when I find a savannah village, even if it is on top of a mountain. How am I going to get up there? Well, like someone who's watched far too many building tutorials and doesn't really understand it, I'm going to use half slabs far too much here, and that is going to allow me to go up a layer without making the jump, which is absolutely disastrous. And although it takes a little bit of finagling around, and let's be honest, far too long, I do eventually make it to the top without using my jump button once. Very pleased with that, to say the least. I'm also super pleased when I open my first chest and find this. That's right, there's free leather and there's a device which allows you to sit on horses. Or you can sit on horses before, but for some reason the horse only listens to your direction when you have this magic orange piece of equipment, and it's really weird when you think about it, and so we try really hard not to. However, something I can't avoid thinking about, besides obviously maybe getting my hands on some iron and getting some sleep, because if you want to avoid damage, you know the easiest way to do that. Avoid the time of day when most mobs spawn. So anyway, with the next day now here, the big question is how am I actually going to get my hands on a horse? It is one of the hardest to find biomes. It only spawns in plains and savanna biomes, and given that I've looked in the sky and there's none of that first one, it's important that I find myself a horse in the second one, which mostly just means going back and forth and all around this savanna biome until I hope that a horse spawns. It takes such a long time, as I'm sure you can tell from the timer in the top right, but when I had a horse, I was very grateful. Yeah, so this horse is genuinely about as slow as walking, but the fact that he can jump is probably more useful for now, at least. Now the horse is obtained, I can actually go up and down without making an obscene number of slabs, and now I can start to get the iron that I'm gonna need to go to the nether. This is a scary process because it does involve killing a golem. However, I do know to just follow the fundamentals, be 3 blocks or higher above it, and make sure there is no space for the golem to jump, because as we all know, this color of mob just can't jump. Anyway, now that we have a single golem killed, it's really great that I have a bucket, but I'm thinking to myself, you know, I think we could do just a little bit better. And so after raiding a nearby ruined portal, very handy structure, love to find these in the early game, I decide that I'm going to kill a second village for a second golem and get a second set of iron. Honestly, you could go around farming iron just by killing these people, and if you're lucky like me, your second village will even have a second ruined portal just nearby it. Between the obsidian and the lava, I know I can make a nether portal, although I kind of struggle on exactly how. I also struggle to get this gold block that's on the roof, but I know it's worth doing because trading with some piglins is going to be very valuable if I can just keep finding gold blocks like this one. Right after realizing I probably should just make my portal from scratch rather than desperately trying to repair one of these. I mean, it's just so satisfying to repair something that's broken in Minecraft. That's why so many people have fixed their ancient cities, and that's why so many people love to upgrade a village. It's just kind of fun to take something back to its former glory, and yeah, so I didn't get to do that, and instead I get to enjoy going to the nether right after realizing there's a dangerous dangerous hazard because being 3 blocks high means you start to suffocate on blocks that you normally wouldn't, even when just a part of you is inside of it. You can actually see, if we go back a few frames, that the air bubbles start appearing because it really thinks you're underwater when you're suffocating, and I don't understand, just bad things happen, and so we need to avoid that. However, before we go into this portal, we all need to pray together that I get anything besides a Soul Sand Valley or a Basalt Delta. Even a Basalt Delta I could just about handle, but we're all praying that I don't get a Soul Sand Valley. And just a reminder, when people say, what's the worst that can happen? They're always referring to something very real that might happen to you. People say, oh, what's the worst that can happen? Is the girl gonna say no when you ask her out? No, she could literally laugh at you and tell you how funny it is that you think that you're in her league, and then she could stab you. There are lots of worse things that can happen than saying no, and yeah, just a reminder, there's lots of worse things that can happen in the Nether, but being stuck on a horse with no shield in a biome where ranged mobs spawn is pretty darn disastrous. I realize in the end I'm not going to be able to get them to despawn, and getting back to the overworld is going to be dicey, and so given that I'm so lucky to have a Nether fortress within vision distance, I just charge right at it, knowing that this horse will actually absorb most of the skeleton's hits. In fact, the horse is so successful at absorbing these skeleton hits that just after I get into the fortress and start killing blazes, do you know what happens? He finally takes it down. Horse was slain by skeleton. This is something that happens when any of your tamed animals die, and if you didn't know about it, then you're a better owner than me, clearly. And yeah, this is such a tragic thing, but I am trying to look on the bright side. I'm losing hunger. I've lost so much that I'm not going to regenerate health. I'm running around with so little health inside of this structure, but I am in the Nether fortress. I probably can make it back, and I know that I have to keep at this no matter how scary things get. And believe me when I say that things get scary. Using wood when there's a bunch of fire-breathing structures coming at you, it seems dangerous, but sometimes it's all you've got. And after my not terrible luck with these blazes, I have all the rods I need. I just need to get out of here. And it's funny because of all the jumps in the run, there's probably only about 10. You're going to see more than half of them right now as I think I'm fine, and then I realize I'm very much not fine, and then I decide that it's probably better to use my jump than to take a hit and avoid doing one of those. So I do lots and lots of jumping here, and I end up getting back to the overworld, but I have a bit of an issue. I now have 6 hunger shanks and just 5 of my hearts remaining. This means I'm so cautious about every use of hunger, even when it comes to attacking zombies. I use my lovely lava bucket instead, but I now need to realize that I'm not eating, I'm not healing in any way to stay true to the challenge, and I need to make my last 5 hearts last this entire run without using any of those 6 hunger shanks. That is an incredible challenge to say the least, especially given that I still need to get ender pearls, I still need to find my stronghold, I still need to dig down and get actually to it, and defeat the ender dragon, all with this. It seems impossible, but I decide to really get my head down and focus. Rather than trying to trade with piglins like I'd previously planned to, I'm going to go for the safest, least hunger consuming method possible, and that currently is the village trading method. This hasn't been very popular since 1.14, or really 1.16 came out and kind of replaced it, but it hasn't been popular in a long time. But you can get cleric villagers to sell you ender pearls. You obviously have to go for a whole bunch of trades first and agree to buy redstone off them. What am I going to do with this redstone? The answer is place it on the ground, but you are able to trade with villagers to get all the way up to ender pearls. And so after buying some lapis lazuli that I definitely needed all the way up to level 5, I'm officially able to buy some ender pearls. Now all I need is a lot of emeralds. In fact, I need to get a lot of emeralds to buy these because they're 5 emeralds a pop and I need 12 of them. And the best way to do this in terms of hunger consumption is going to be breaking blocks. If you break 4 blocks of wood and turn them into sticks, you get 32 sticks, also known as 1 emerald. This means if we want our 55 emeralds, which I need after buying the first one, I have to break 220 logs, which is a few more than you're used to cutting down at the start of the game, but I decide it's totally worthwhile. Then I need to do a lot of very expensive trades, and you know, it just reminds me of real life. Like, it's really easy to buy the things next to the till, but it's really, really hard to buy the things you actually want from a supermarket, and that's how this villager is right here. He'll sell me all the redstone and lapis I want, but when I want something useful to beat the game, that's when he decides he's going to charge me the max. And also, the place I'm getting my villagers is also a little bit like pre-owned game stores, right? They realize that there's something in a little bit high demand. I'm selling my sticks at 32 to the emerald, and then this guy wants 52 all of a sudden, just because he realizes I clearly can make a lot of sticks, and I don't accept that. But in the end, after enough trading, and then enough trading to trade the trades with my trading trades, I also also have actually finished the ender pearl gathering process. And again, this is time consuming, but if you're new to Minecraft, or if you just don't like spending too much time in the nether, which is where the other best ways of getting ender pearls are, this is a really fun way to get ender pearls, and it also gets you a ton of experience, and it also will allow you to get a whole trading network going in a village. I think the trading strategy to do basically anything in Minecraft is incredible, and it's really, really underappreciated. Do you know what else is underappreciated? Horses and how hard it is to park them. I tried a lot of things with this earlier. I tried to keep them on top of a block and then maybe me fall down on some hail. Anyway, long story short, I have a horse right now. It's a good horse, and even while using this horse, it takes me some serious time to lead him towards the stronghold. I have the Eyes of Ender leading me in the right direction, but that is not enough, and it takes a lot of traveling, a lot of blocks, and eventually I find the place where the stronghold actually is. This leaves me with a problem. Do I go down by myself? I know it's below this village somewhere. Or do I go down with my horse? If you think about it, I have to mine 4 times as many blocks if I want to get my horse down. However, if I want to get back up, because it's not the stronghold, which does happen sometimes you go in the wrong hole and it's very tragic for everyone involved. But in this case, I decide I'm going to bring the horse down and I'm just going to hope for the best. And if we need to come out, we need to come out. It's going to be very hard to do horse parkour, but it's not something I'm inexperienced at because I've made these mistakes before. And so it takes a long while to dig a 4x4 tunnel. In fact, it also takes the entirety of my pickaxe. But you know what I eventually find? It's the stronghold, and it's also way below deep slate layer because of recent bug fix changes. And although I take a little bit of damage on the way down for something that really could have been avoided, I'll admit this is the dumbest damage I took all run, and it's the point where I start to really think, I don't know if I can do this. I'm in the scariest structure in the game, I'm taking damage arbitrarily, and mobs are spawning everywhere. Seriously, even some skeletons spawn at one point. These guys do range damage. How do you kill a mob that does range damage? Fortunately, I know the answer to that, and it is a lava bucket. It was so satisfying to hear the skeleton bone noises, to know that he's slowly burning to death. You know, I'm not a sadist, but when it comes to skeletons, I might just change my mind on that. Anyway, so the important thing here is getting through this stronghold and working out the way to the end portal, and then, even more importantly, because as I found it, some silverfish spawned, making sure there are no mobs around. Attacking silverfish right now would be disastrous for my hunger, because attacking is something I want to do the minimum amount of, and it would also be disastrous for just, you know how it looks when you attack a silverfish when you don't have a diamond sword. You want to make sure you do that first, and so what I do is I just back out. I use everyone's favorite technique, which is getting out of simulation distance, and I make sure all the mobs have despawned before going in with some torches, going in and blocking off as many entries as I can, and making this as safe as humanly possible. And so now comes the moment. I do some last minute crafting. I think to myself, I'm not going to need a pickaxe, right? I mean, I'm just going to the end. I do craft myself a shield. I do get my horse to come all the way ready to the end portal, and now I know I'm ready for this big fight against the dragon. I'm hyped up. I don't think 3.5 hearts is going to do it, but I'm willing to give it my all, and then we go through the portal and it's an end box spawn. In other words, the end portal spawn location is inside of the end island, and although I know that the dragon is that way and therefore the best way to mine is this way, I change my mind and then I start digging upwards and that yields no results, and so I just work the exact opposite way of the ender dragon, just figuring that must be the lowest, the path of least resistance to get myself out of here. I do make it 4 wide at first, then I just make it this 2 wide tunnel, and even that isn't good enough. My pickaxe is broken. I'm stuck in the end. I have no wood to make a crafting table, let alone a pickaxe, and now I am in a situation where the only way I can make progress is to kill myself, losing the challenge, or to start breaking end stone blocks with my fist. I really am not proud to admit how long I spent having to mine these blocks, but eventually I do have a path through to the ceiling, and so breaking enough of those blocks, doing a little bit of horse parkour, and I'm embarrassed to admit this, but taking a little bit of damage from suffocation, leaving my 3.5 hearts down to 2.5 hearts, leaving my hunger shanks even more depleted. I'm eventually at the very top of the world. And yeah, things go very well from here. You're pleased to know I beat the dragon with basically no effort, except no, what happens is on the very first swing across, I'm looking back at this footage over and over again, but I don't see how it happens. The dragon has such a big hitbox that even from all the way over there, she does that much damage, knocking me immediately down to half a heart. And I'm thinking to myself, if the dragon can hit me from that far away while I'm walking in the opposite direction, what chance do I stand of beating this game? I have armor, sure. I have 4.5 hunger shanks, sure, but I'm going to die from one hit for anything. Any single source of damage is the end now, and so I start to make my peace with the fact that this is gonna be the end in more ways than one, I guess. And yeah, what I also do is I place down some torches, just realizing that if I'm gonna stand a chance, I need to have every area of this lit up, so there is as few endermen as possible, which can potentially come after me and end me as well. But yeah, I decide that I'm gonna go full force at this. I'm gonna go for the lazy dragon kill, which is where you attack the dragon over and over again, and you just hope she flies in soon enough. On Bedrock, this actually can be effective, especially when paired with the critical damage hits. And yeah, every single time she flies in, I think to myself, maybe this is possible. Here I am right now, having just finished another one. We're just over 2 hours, 19 minutes in, and as you can see, I'm praying she flies in, and she does. All I need now is to not be end-asted, is to not be attacked by, you know, an enderman, and it's over. I've officially killed the ender dragon. For a little bit of a, you know, a glory victory, I tried to shoot one of these towers. I decide, you know what, maybe we shouldn't. Maybe we should just stand in the portal. And fun fact, and horses don't go through the portal unless you do. So as soon as I get off the portal, I have beaten Minecraft without eating a single time. I stayed true to the challenge, and now it's officially over. We did it! That shouldn't have been possible. We took it right to the edge of what should have been doable. I didn't use potions, I didn't use axolotls, I didn't eat milk or feed my horses or do any form of cheesing it. No fluids or foods were consumed by me or my trusty steed. Asterisk, trusty steeds, you know. We'll never forget you, nether horse. Yeah, so this horse is genuinely about as slow as walking. But the fact that he can jump is probably more useful for now, at least. You know, I'll make it work. But yeah, this was an absolutely beautiful challenge. I enjoyed it so much, and it sounds like a lot of you did as well. If you liked this video, you like this series, and you want to watch the full run, I did stream the entire thing. I'm looking forward to streaming more of these Can You Beat Minecraft Without X challenges, and if you want to see live streams, this sounds like I'm exaggerating, but because I stream on YouTube, there's no way to get separate stream and regular notifications, so subscribe with notifications turned on. You can ignore them for the main channel if you want, and you want to just get them for the live streams, but it should tell you 30 minutes before I'm due to go live that I'm due to go live. And so, would you like to see live streams? Would you like to be there for these moments as we do these challenges, sometimes not successfully? Then you can watch the full video if you want to see this run, and you can watch my live streams by subscribing with notifications turned on, because this was a lot of fun. I hope you all enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.